I grew up in a small village called Ashburn, and it's a suburb of Whitby in southern Ontario. I have two sisters and one brother. When I was growing up, probably the things that I liked to do the most were anything organizing with my sisters and my brother. We used to play school and bank. Those were the two primary things. And then when I got to be a teenager, I really enjoyed my part-time job. My immediate family growing up was all that we had in Ashburn. My mother's side of the family all remained in Switzerland, so we only would see them if we would travel to Europe or if they came to visit us. And my dad's side of the family all remained in England, so it was the same with them. I do remember one year when I was about 16 years old, we did take a family vacation and we went to Europe for 6 weeks. And we rented a car and we drove to all the different relatives. Quite an adventure and a lot of family time. I went to school in Ottawa. I was enrolled at Carleton University for my Bachelor of Arts, and when I completed that, I also went to Algonquin College in Ottawa, and while I was there, I got my diploma in legal administration. I think I went to university primarily because I had always been told that that was the next step after high school. So growing up, that's what I heard, and I don't think I ever questioned doing anything else. So it was sort of just a natural next step after graduating from high school. I left Whitby, it was probably after going to school for so many years. When I was finished that, it was a matter of finding work. And I moved to a town called Aurora, north of Toronto, and it allowed me to commute to my job in North York. That's probably what made me move away to begin with, was finding work. My job at Investors Group, my official title is Region Support Manager. That's kind of just grown over time to encompass all of our different offices within the region. But my primary focus is based on our events, and I do all of the event planning. We have an assistant that does help me with certain things for each event, but I look after the contracts for those events, the venues, any type of food and beverage, accommodations, and these are events that are not just for our internal consultants and staff, but also externally for our clients in terms of client appreciation and marketing events. I live in North Bay, Ontario. It was mostly our situation in that I had finished maternity leave when both of you guys were born, and I was working for Bob because he was working out of our home, and it was more of a natural progression in that we moved as his job changed. And because I was working for him and working from home, my work grew bigger as his role grew bigger within the company. Yeah, I really do like my work with Investors Group. It's an ideal job for me. I probably wouldn't have found anything like it if I had been looking for something like it. Most of it just sort of fell into my lap as Bob's job progressed with Investors Group. The best part of my job is definitely the fact that I can work from home. My hours are flexible, and I use the office as I need to. Most of my work is centered around the events themselves. So my busiest times of the year are the times of the year when the events are upcoming. And then there are times of the year where I don't have any events, in which case those are the slower period of times. In building our business, we specifically geared those events to be in the school year, and that started from when the two of you were growing up and I needed to be home and available during the summer when you were on summer break. So as the years went on, all of the events sort of snowballed bigger, more, but we kept them in the months between January and June and September and December, which allows me then more or less to have the summer off, and I continue to do so even though you guys are grown now. The Plan to retire is probably 4 to 5 years away still. We would like to see you finish high school as well as get started in university. And then we have to sort of map out the next couple of years. So it's coming, not quite yet. When we retire, I know that the winter months will primarily be spent in Florida at our house there. Definitely to get away from the cold. In Florida, we will most likely spend our time fishing. Bob will be golfing, reading, sitting by the pool, doing anything outdoors. And then the winters, the summertime, we'll probably spend most of it in Ontario. Not quite sure where exactly we'll be though. I have 2 kids. I have my daughter Julia is 18 and a half and my son Ian is 16. Some of my favorite things to do. I really enjoy reading. I like to be on my iPad. I like to watch Lightning hockey, and I like to travel. Definitely my favorite sports team would be the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think I've grown to like Tampa Bay because over the years, when we first bought our house in Florida, we started attending games once a year. This was probably 10 years ago, and attending a live game is much different than watching it on TV. And the more we did that, the more I enjoyed watching it, and over the years I just continued to watch them. I really like to travel. That's probably one of my favorite things to do other than maybe reading or cooking, but I love to travel all over the place. I've been to many different countries, a lot of countries in Europe. This past year we did a trip to Europe and we went to England as well as Italy, and we saw a lot of different cities in Italy. Previous years I've been to Spain, I've been to Australia, Tahiti, New Zealand. I've been to some Asian countries as well, to Hong Kong and to some other countries in that area. And then very well traveled in the islands down in the Caribbean, Mexico and the United States. Probably my most favorite place that I've traveled to was Tahiti 2 years ago. Definitely an out-of-this-world experience. Nothing can compare to that area of the South Pacific that I've ever been to. None of the Caribbean islands come close to the South Pacific. It was really a remarkable place. And then probably my second favorite place to go to would be Florida. Mostly because we've got our house there and it's kind of like our cottage, and we go there for vacations and we feel like locals there. So that's probably why that's my second favorite. We bought our house in Florida in 2008, just as the market crashed. Our intention had always been to buy a retirement home in Florida. We had been previously visiting my in-laws who are snowbirds down there. And when the market crashed in 2008, it was early to be buying for us, probably about 15 years too early, but the prices were just unbelievably low, and we thought that if we missed out on that, we would regret it. So although it was early for us to be buying, we managed to swing it, and we haven't looked back since. It's been a wonderful experience.